You are listening to Studio MacGyver's Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast.
What is going down? It is your boy, Studio MacGyver, and you are listening to Studio MacGyver's Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast. Today's show, guys, we're going to talk about some interesting things, man. What I basically did over this past week, and I'm just going to put it out there and say it. I didn't get a chance to play the demo from the Nintendo Switch that I was trying to get my hands on and play. It was just so many things going on, and, I got caught off guard by, this thing, that thing, or whatever, but I will get to it eventually. I really want to play it, but, some other things, just got in the way, and, it is what it is, but we're definitely going to be talking a little bit about Anthem because it's out now. EA has no more excuses. We're going to tackle that, a little debate, if you will, and even maybe possibly the future of EA, like what's going down with that, what they got going on with this game. They have a lot of weight in this game. They have a lot of stock in this game, and depending on how the game does, moving forward, and I'm saying in the next 90 days or so will probably dictate what's next for EA. Maybe potential games coming out, and maybe they won't. Maybe, who knows, man. Maybe some mass firings, because, they anticipate a certain amount in sales. And if they don't reach that, of course, that could be a major dent. But we'll get on that. Also going to talk some Microsoft and Nintendo possibly joining forces. That would definitely be a strange marriage. But I do see potential, a lot of potential actually, in this. Also going to talk about, what I've been watching, man. I've been watching a lot of TV this past week. Didn't plan on it like that. It just came, it just fell in my lap. And I'm going to, basically talk about what I've been watching and get into that. Also, some Dragon Ball Super manga talk. Going to be talking a lot about the latest chapter, which is chapter 45. With that evil son of a bitch named Moro, and this motherfucker is wet. Amazing and highly skilled. Going to get into that. It's looking like it's going to be a very, very amazing arc, to say the least, because by what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, man, it's looking like these guys are going to have to pull out all the stops. And I'm talking about, everybody from planet Earth, man. So we'll see. All right, let's get started, man. I want to talk about, I guess first, I want to get into what I've been watching. This past weekend, man. And I don't even believe, I can't even believe that I didn't even know about the series or it was out. I always told myself, or I wondered, when it comes to, superhero, movies or shows or cartoons, there's lots of different debates going on behind that. But most people would probably say when it comes to, great, movies based off of comic book characters, everybody's going to lean towards Marvel. I mean, I think that's safe to say. They put out shit all the time, and they just have, more characters that are known amongst casual, superhero fans, if you will. Now, of course, somebody who's into comic books and, is a connoisseur of sorts, would maybe argue differently with you guys. And most people think of DC and Marvel as, the top two, the Burger King and McDonald's of the comic book industry. But, you have other comic book, entities out there that are pretty dope. Image Comics is another one that a lot of people like. And I bring up Image because I don't know. I mean, I remember, Spawn coming from Image, and when that wave came around when I was a kid in my teens, reading a lot of comic books back then. But I've been watching a lot of TV based off of heroes and villains this past weekend, man. Just kind of fell in my lap. Everybody kept talking about, this Umbrella Academy on Netflix. So I checked it out, and I'm really enjoying myself with it. Planned on finishing it, but didn't get to because there was another show that, a friend of mine, I was at his house and we were talking, and he was, basically showing me everything he's been watching. And one of the things he pulled up was Titans. And my mind was slightly blown because I mean, everybody knows about the Teen Titans and whatnot, but one thing about DC that I haven't really seen from them is they don't do a lot of dark films, to say the least. And really nobody really did up until a certain point, until really, in my opinion, until Deadpool dropped. I think Deadpool really paved the way for, interpretations of different books, and graphic novels coming to the screen and making it true to life. Or, for example, Ryan Reynolds, the guy who basically plays Deadpool, he had an opportunity supposedly to do the Deadpool movie years prior to the first Deadpool movie. And what happened with that was, he wanted it to be a Deadpool movie. And if you know anything about Deadpool, you know that it's very, very raunchy. It's very, very dark at times. And, it's for mature audiences, mature readers, if you will. And, I don't think they weren't willing to let him, to give him that freedom. They wanted a PG-13 film. So he did what anybody who was a big fan of the series and had opportunity would probably do. The integrity of that character, the integrity of that book, and all of that underneath. He wanted to keep that intact. So he said, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't want a Deadpool movie, a PG-13 Deadpool movie. It just didn't make sense. And a lot of these characters out here, I believe we don't get a lot of these movies, or we weren't getting a lot of them, or shows or whatever based on these characters, because a lot of these characters are, were created from a dark place, and they're not meant to be told, in a PG-13 environment or setting. So when Deadpool came out, it basically blew everybody's mind because it did so fucking well out of the gate. And, it was true to the series, if you will. It was true to his character, the things that went on in the movie or whatnot, the rated R, stamp on it. And you can even argue that, excuse me, you could even argue that mature could be slapped on some of this shit. I'm just keeping it real. But I really have to pay homage to Deadpool because it paved the way, in my opinion, for a lot of these shows coming out now, especially with stuff that Netflix was doing with all of these shows they had going on. It was just a darker take on, what you might perceive that entity to be if you were looking at it on TV, because most people would think, well, yeah, okay, Deadpool movie or Punisher, okay, it's going to be PG-13, whatever. It doesn't, you can't put those things in the same sentence. They just don't go together. It doesn't fit. So then we got shows like Daredevil, and we got shows like, Luke Cage, and all these shows that were rated R shows on Netflix, and they didn't hold anything back. They were not pulling punches. And that's what I was hoping to see, from DC. DC doesn't do that often. Or let me say this, DC, to me, they make the best animated stuff. They do really good things with their animation stuff. The Teen Titans. I think that started what was Teen Titans, 2003 to 2006 or something like that. And then, a lot of people aren't really feeling Teen Titans Go. That's more of a, I don't want to say dumbed down, but it's more child friendly, if you will. My son watches Teen Titans Go. You know what I mean? It's just a revamping of it. It's simpler, it's not, it's more silly, and then, a type of show now. And that's cool. I mean, do what you got to do. But when I saw Titans, though, I think I'm 5 episodes in right now. It kind of blew my mind because I just wasn't expecting to see, what I saw. and I'm still not done with it. After the podcast, I'm, going to finish or try to finish most of it and have it done by Tuesday at the latest. And then, get back on Unbrella Academy. But, one of my favorite characters, superheroes, period, under the whole umbrella, like besides Batman, because he's one of them, but also, Nightwing is my guy. I love Nightwing. I just like the fact that, a character who, was actually Robin at one time, deciding to, I guess, walk away from that mantle and pick up his own. He wanted to be his own thing. He didn't want to be Batman. He didn't want to be Robin. He wanted to be him, Dick. Well, not Dick, but he wanted to be Nightwing. You know what I mean? So this series, before, when I found out about it, first off, I just did a little digging. I wanted to see how good the show was, what people were saying about it. And, cause he's one of my favorite characters in the DC universe, right behind Batman, really, honestly. But, I think Rotten Tomatoes gave it like an 81, 82 or something like that. And, I learned to not trust critics, so much, and not, because Alita Battle Angel I thought was a 10 out of 10. And you have other people out here, YouTubers or certain reviewers, giving it, some crazy ass grades. I mean, I was wondering at one point if, Angry Joe was actually smoking crack, because he gave it a 6 out of 10. I don't know what he was smoking before he walked into the theater, but evidently it was some strong shit, because in my opinion, it was nothing close to 6 out of 10. I love that fucking movie. Can't wait. Hopefully they do a sequel. Can't wait for it to come to, Blu-ray, cause I am copying that. But, I learned not to trust critics like that. It's just not, it's not my cup of tea anymore, man. I've even some of my favorite movies, and you don't believe me, write down 10 of your most favorite movies ever to you, write them down, and then go look up reviews on them. And you'll probably end up being shocked, because some of these scores are like, what? You thought what? And that's why, critics and movies, they don't hold that much water with me. I use it kind of like as a light gauge. You know what I mean? And then when I say that is if somebody's giving it like a 3 out of 10, then I'm like, okay, there's no way that, it may not be a 3. It may be actually be like an actual 6 or something like that. Then, I could kind of be like, okay, if it's overhyped or if it's underhyped, I kind of, I use that as a gauge, especially if it's underhyped. You know what I mean? But a lot of people were saying great things about it. I was going into this thing not really knowing too much about the Teen Titans in general. Like I said, strictly, Nightwing, for me. But I was interested, to learn about the Titans and all this. And this show is basically giving us, the events that lead up to, actual Teen Titans being, I guess, formed, if you will. That, at least that's what I took from it. But it started out, with Dick Grayson, aka Nightwing, just, being estranged. Their relationship with Batman has been estranged. So they haven't been talking for over a year. And, basically Nightwing he's not even Nightwing now. He's still, technically he was Robin when he left. So he decided to just go on his own, and he became a detective, and he went to Detroit, of all places. And, and it started there. And I just thought that was a dope take on, how that happened. And I'm just really enjoying the show, man. And it's a dark version of it. It's like, what if the Titans had a show on Netflix? You know what I mean? And it's different, man. And I'm really enjoying it. There are some diehards out there who've seen it. And if you guys are listening, some of you have seen it. Some people have gripes and moans about some of the characters, because they feel that it's kind of contradicting some of the things that they know the characters from out of the books and out of the graphic novels and stuff like that. And that's understandable. But also, I kind of look at it like this, man. I mean, we all know, well, if you've read comic books in the past, or, anything about comic books, man, you know that there's multiple universes of, of a book. You know what I mean? Like Batman has so many different universes. There's different Batmans in different universes and different takes on that character. So I don't really hold a lot of weight on that. Like if they like, matter of fact, one of the characters in this show is black. She's black, but on the books, instead of the books, she's white. So, you know what I'm saying? They do that sometimes, like Nick Fury, you know what I mean? He's white and he's black in some books. So it just depends on what universe that said, you know, entity is coming from. So I don't really look at it like that. And I kind of like the fact that I'm going in clean and I'm just going off a straight up, you know, how does it make me feel? You know, what am I looking at here? Type of thing. You know, I'm not going in thinking like, oh, he didn't or she didn't say this or that. And that's just not like that said character in the books or whatever. It's their interpretation of that universe. You know what I'm saying? And we get to see it on a live action TV screen. That's how I look at it. And that's my take on it. And so far, after 5 episodes, I am really enjoying this series and I cannot wait to continue the series. What really took me and drew me to the show was the fact that, you know, it had Nightwing in it. You know what I mean? And it was his backstory, and it was, you know, some of these other characters that I don't know about, getting into it. And that's what drew me to the show. And also that it was dark. It was a darker version. So I'm enjoying it. Just keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Keep these characters real and, keep it right. You know what I mean? And I think we're seeing a thing where we're witnessing, you know, something here, because there's also a show that people are talking about called Doom Patrol, which is, I think it's only 1 or 2 episodes out right now, but their universe is intertwined with this universe here. So you actually get introduced to the Doom Patrol in one of the episodes of the Titans show. I think it's episode number 4. The actual title is called Doom Patrol. So they, in my opinion, done a great job of trying to, you know, get you into that universe, and not just with the current people you're watching, but also everybody else involved, all the other characters or whatnot. There's a couple other characters I got introduced to, Hawk and Dove. I never knew who those guys were. There's a couple, you know, who actually fight crime as well. They're vigilantes. It's just, like I said, DC, to me, I really feel that DC has the potential to be just like Marvel, you know, as far as live action movies and things of that nature. They just, I don't know what it is. They just don't, I don't know why they won't take it there. Take more chances. You know what I mean? Not on just the stereotypical characters everybody knows, the Batmans and Supermans of the world, but, you know, just like with Titans, to me, what I've caught or what I've seen of it so far, it's kind of giving me introduction to some of these other characters, and to the, you know, now I'm interested in Hawk and Dove. I'm interested in, you know, the Doom Patrol, like who these guys are. And then when you watch those guys, you get introduced to villains within that series, and you're like, oh, that's a cool villain, or, you know, I really like her or whatever. Let me, you know, you want to get, it branches off in so many forks. There's so many forks in the road in comic books in general, period, anyway, that you could just take one of those forks, one of those dozen forks, and you could kind of just go off and find something else and fall in love with another character. You know, it's crazy like that, but I'm liking what I'm seeing right now. And I think it spells good things for DC, man. Finally, you know, on the live action scene. I mean, I haven't seen a DC show that was decent since Arrow. You know what I mean? And that I like. Now, I'm sure there's some out here that a lot of you guys listening may like, or people out there like. I'm sure of it. But for me personally, you know, like this is the first one, like, but since Arrow, that I'm really liking and really enjoying myself in. Plus, like I said before, it doesn't hurt that it has a big focus on my boy, you know, Dick Grayson, aka Nightwing. So it's a great series. I even found a song in one of the episodes that was lit as fuck. And you ever watch a show or a movie or even a commercial, and you ask yourself like, damn, I really want to know what that song is. I really would love to know what it was. And, you know, you find yourself Googling it, and sometimes you find it and sometimes you don't. And luckily for me, I found the song. It's a group. The song is called Oh Baby. And the group who did the song is called LCD Sound System. LCD Sound System. And the type of music is kind of like a synth wave, kind of synth pop type of vibe. It's a very niche genre, and it's something that I really enjoy listening to. That genre, actually, if you guys don't know about, some of my musical interests, that's one of my favorite musical genres. 80s bass with a lot of synths and futuristic sounds, with melodic, vocals and undertones and things of that nature. Those are the type. I love that music. Blood Dragon, Far Cry, Blood Dragon, man. I mean, that soundtrack was crazy. But yeah, the music caught my ear, and I went, found the song, got the song, loved the song, listened to it probably about 13 times today. Just driving around and shit. But basically what I'm trying to say is I had a great time this past week, discovering some new shows, and like really liking this Titan thing. Really trying to get into the Titans now, like what they're about, what's going on. The only bad thing about this series is the fact that after I finish these last few episodes, I'm going to be upset because I'm not going to have any more to watch. You know what I mean? So, other than that, cool. I'll wait for Doom Patrol to come out completely. I do not want to start that show because supposedly they show that show on a weekly basis on that DC network thing they got going on. So, I want to binge. I'm a binge watcher. I like to watch. I want all my shit in front of me. You know what I mean? Every season. That's just how I like to do it. Because one episode is like fucking torture. It's pure torture. But yeah, man, that's what I've been on. Like I said before, I'm also the Unbrella Academy. It's something new. It's a fresh take. And I think I want to say they're from Image, or I want to say Dark Horse. One of those two, but they're not Marvel and they're not DC. But that's another thing. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to put out a good show with great characters. And, that's what makes it interesting. It doesn't always have to be Marvel. You know what I mean? And I want to see, like, I can name a shitload of Marvel characters, but I can't really name any DC characters. Not too many. Same thing with some of these other entities like Dark Horse and Image Comics and stuff like that. You have your poster boys, but what about, the rest? What about everybody else? And that's what I'm basically liking what I'm seeing right now. And I hope they take this in another direction. Cause like I said, we have Doom Patrol now. So I've never heard of Doom Patrol, but now we're going to have a show on Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol was introduced, to me in the show. So I know a little bit about these characters. And then actually some of the origins of some of the Teen Titans, where they came from. Beast Boy wasn't always, a Teen Titan. Where did he come from? Like, where was he? Who was he with? And this show is basically lifting up, that blanket, and you're able to see who's under the covers. Like, that's what I'm digging. So hopefully with this show, and if it continues to be successful, we'll get introduced to more characters from the DC universe, characters that most of us, especially the casual fans, don't really know about. And yeah, man, I mean, that would have me right back at the comic book shop buying comics straight up. But yeah, man, I mean, that's pretty much what I've been watching, guys. If you haven't heard of this, or if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend going and checking it out. It's called Titans. Right now it's out on the DC network, but I don't know where. I don't remember where I saw it from, but it's a great show. You must watch it. Supposedly it's coming to Netflix like sometime around 2020 or something like that. I don't know how they're doing that, but right now you can watch it on the DC network. I think that's what it's called, DC network. Anyway, great show, guys. Next, let's get into some Microsoft Nintendo shit. Supposedly this is a thing. Microsoft and Nintendo are going to be working together with Xbox Game Pass. If you guys don't know about Xbox Game Pass, it's basically a streaming service for video games. Older titles most of the time. There's some current titles, and you basically, instead of downloading the games, which is what Xbox is about, you actually download the game on the pass. They're going to be trying to stream the games. So, one might ask himself, yeah, because how would a lot of these Xbox games fit or play on the Nintendo Switch when the Nintendo Switch natively only has 32 gigs of space, which is really only like 25 after the operating system takes its chunk away. So then you're left with that. So when you stream something, or you can stream on anything, you could take a fucking tablet and stream like one of the highest video game fidelity pieces of software out and it will run like fucking butter depending on, you know, the server. So this looks like it's going to be a thing, man, going forward. So I mean, be looking forward to playing, you know, Xbox games on the Nintendo Switch. That's crazy to even think about that. I mean, those two like going, but you know, they've always been kind of buddy though, Nintendo and Microsoft. And Microsoft needs it right now because, man, supposedly they abandoned, though, just on another side tangent, supposedly they abandoned the Scalebound IP. So they haven't renewed it. And what I think is going to happen, what I'm hoping is going to happen is that they give that IP or they sell it or they give it to, you know, Nintendo, and Nintendo does something with it. You know what I mean? I hope that happens because that's a game I definitely would have loved to play. That could have been so epic for Microsoft, man. Every time I think about Scalebound, I hurt for all the Xbox players out there, man. I just really fucking do. That is going to, in the future, I think that's what we should be looking out for that. I mean, you know, a relationship with Microsoft and Nintendo hand in hand and streaming Xbox games on the Switch. I mean, that ought to be sweet. That really, really would. Now, I would pay for the Xbox Gamer Pass before I would pay for Nintendo's online subscription. I mean, bottom line, period. If I had to choose that's kind of like, for me, who was just strictly a Sony guy and a Nintendo guy right now. I don't have an Xbox or anything Xbox right now. So with that streaming service, that would actually put me like in all three. I'd have my Nintendo stuff. I'd have my, you know, Sony stuff. And then, you know, with the Game Pass, boom, I have my Xbox stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I think that would be definitely something to look forward to. I'm kind of excited to listen to that because there are some games that Xbox does have that are nice. They have some dope IPs. Not a lot, but they have some. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say Xbox is just, they don't have anything to offer because they have some shit to offer. But, you know, when compared to everybody else, that's when it gets kind of muddy, in my opinion. Just my opinion. That's it. But, you know, I had to bring this to you guys' attention if you did not know. And a lot of you guys do know this, but a lot of you don't. So I had to bring that up on this podcast. So good stuff right there, baby. All right, man. I want to talk about Anthem. I know. If you're into video games and you're in the, you know, if you're in the world of video games, you know about this whole Anthem debacle. You know that it's out here in these video game streets and it's running rampant. I mean, you can't turn around without hearing about, you know, Anthem. And you know how it goes. You know, you watch YouTube a lot. If you depending on what you watch on YouTube, and I do a lot of gaming stuff, and anime and shit like that, you know, you're going to get those things, you know, in your feed all the time. So if you're, you know, looking at these things, reviews and conversations and discussions, you're going to see it. And that's what I've been looking at. But man, it does not look good, man. It just does not look good. This game it's got mixed reviews. Some like it, some hate it. I'm not going to say love because I mean, there's some out there who probably love the game, but everybody's claiming that, you know, in about 2 or 3 weeks, man, it's going to go straight stale. And supposedly they don't have a lot to offer in the next coming few months, you know, as far as, you know, stuff to do. But we'll see, because like I said, man, they have to really pay attention to the time frame that it's going to take them to fix all this stuff. And I'm talking about the bugs and the loading screens mainly. Before they need to get that under control before they do anything else, because what's going to end up happening is it's going to grow stale. And if they don't have a lot of this stuff fixed in a timely manner, people are going to leave it and the server's going to die and they're going to move on to something else. We've all done it. We've all seen it happen before. Game comes out. We thought the game was going to be this or that. It ended up being not what we expected, underachieving. And then, you know, we just kind of just walk away from it. I mean, there's so many different examples of this, you know. Shinobi Striker is one very, very good one. Goddamn, you know, the Star Wars games. I mean, the list goes on and fucking on and on. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. They're projecting 6 to 7 million copies sold, within a certain time frame, and I don't see that happening. I don't. You know, I would love to play this game if everything was delivered as promised. And, you know, they show you learn this. I mean, you learn this all the time, that companies, when they present a game at a show, maybe E3 or wherever they're going to, you know, have a show at, they always try to doctor it up just like everybody else in any other business, form of business. They doctor it up. They shine it up real nice. If it smells like shit, they make sure they put tons and tons of perfume or cologne on top of it to mask the odor so nobody smells it. You know what I mean? And, you know, the trailer looked completely different than the actual in-game footage. And what's so fucked up about it is that they tell you in small letters at the bottom of the screen, this is actually in-game footage, in-game gameplay. And then when the game comes out, half that shit is not even there. I mean, all the way down to the mission, all the way down to, you know, certain things, you know, walking around that they're not. All the way to the crowd, you know, was nice and thick. It was full of life on the commercial, but when you got the in-game thing, it completely did not look like that. So, you know, things like that, man. I mean, and now it's, people are calling them out. Like, there's nothing you can put out that you can't get called up for later. And I don't know why developers don't understand this. I mean, if you knew that, don't put that shit out. If that's not what the real in-game footage is going to be, somebody's going to pull your card. I mean, that's just how it goes. There's somebody out there, some YouTuber, licking his or her fucking chops, waiting for you to fuck up and waiting to tip that first domino over. Just waiting. And right now, man, I feel that domino setup right now is about halfway down. And we'll see what happens in the coming weeks, because it could end very, very badly for EA. And you know what? I don't like to wish bad things on anybody, but this is one company right now that I think they deserve a little bit of dark time to themselves. They deserve a little bit of that, you know, a little bit of that noise, because they have not proven themselves to be, or that they deserve anything different right now. These poor practices, lying to consumers and putting out a incomplete project and expecting people to pay top dollar for it is preposterous. You know what I mean? It's retarded. It's everything bad under the sun with more bad shit sprinkled on top for good measure. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. And me personally, I am tired of looking at this shit. I'm tired of seeing where a lot of these game companies, these AAA game companies are doing. They're riding the wave. They're sitting back, you know, under the shade, drinking iced tea. You know what I mean? Running their workers under the bus into the ground. And then they turn around and they fucking fire them. They do all kinds of fucked up things within the company, to consumers. You know, if you just keep it real, you know, you can soften the blow. And people will be more forgiving and, you know, not so quick to jump down your throat. But when you lie, or, you know, you change a story, or you come out of left field with certain things that weren't expected, what do you expect is going to happen? You know what I mean? Right now, everybody's going through that honeymoon phase with Anthem right now. And believe you me, it is definitely just a honeymoon phase, because in about a fucking week, depending on how long you've been playing this game, you're going to find out real quick that it's not what it seems. Because I tell you right now, in the video game world, especially in today's age with what's going on with Fallout 76 and EA and all these fucking, you know, AAA companies who are supposed to be the creme de la creme of the video game industry, when these motherfuckers start dropping the ball, oh yeah, it goes from sugar to shit real quick. And I'm just being honest, and I'm just keeping it real. I'm not going to candy coat it. I'm not going to play lollipop games and run around the mulberry bush with anybody, any of my listeners. I don't do that. I'm going to keep it real 110% of the time. And that's what we want from these game developers who are asking for our money day in and day out when they drop products. There's so many video games out here. There's so many things going on. And who do we pick? Who do we choose, you know, for our entertainment? And it's so bad when you save up for a game, or you plan on buying something, and you buy it and you get it home and you put it in the system, and it's not what's advertised. Everything comes with a fucking day one patch now. And even then, sometimes it's even worse than before. And you have to deal with all that. Nobody should have to deal with day one patches. No one should have to deal with, you know, a game that is broken, you know, before you even get a chance to play 15% of it. It's ridiculous. And that's what we're seeing more and more of now. It's sad to say, but we do have great developers out there as well. I do not want to clown the whole video game industry, because I do love this industry. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I see where it's going. I see a lot of the mistakes that some of these companies are making that don't care, because all they're about is getting that dollar, you know, getting that dollar. And like I said, just because EA used to be good, because they were a very, very prominent company, you know, things change, you know, I mean, employment changes, people leave the company, and now you have other people in place who aren't as good, or you have people in there who don't, you know, sympathize with the gaming community, or don't even really know anything about games. I don't feel that anyone, in my opinion, should be in this said field if they aren't fans of that field, because if you know what the fans like, and you know how the fans feel and what the fans want, then you're going to do, you know, a better job of, you know, communicating with them and trying to get the best out of what you have to make the fans happy. Because you're going to be looking at it like, oh, is this something I want to play? You know what I mean? And if you're not thinking like that, if you don't have that mindset, you shouldn't be in that business. You know what I mean? And it's simple. It's ABC 1, 2, 3. It's that simple. Even a caveman could do it type shit. You know, that's just me on the outside looking in. I'm just a guy who loves gaming, and, you know, I'm just speaking on what a lot of people out there are feeling right now. It's crazy right now, but we do have a lot of things to look forward to. There are great games on the horizon. There are great games out now. I've been playing a lot of those as well. I've been playing some Borderlands, Handsome Collection. I've been playing, you know, I've been playing Shadows of War recently, enjoying myself with both those games. So yeah, man, I'm having a blast right now. You know, looking forward to the future, what we have next, what we have coming. Also, I got a chance to touch on, I played a little bit of Devil May Cry, the demo, and it is fucking awesome. I cannot wait to play this game, man. I'm like, fuck, we got that game, and it comes out on the 8th, March 8th. And then on top of that, a week later, guess what? The Division 2. You know what I mean? So I'm like, God damn it, I have to play not God of War, I'm sorry. Devil May Cry. I love that single player action based type of stuff, atmosphere. The game feels really, really good. It's it feels really smooth and responsive. I really like the graphics, everything about this game. And then they have multiple characters. So, you know, I think this is going to be a hit. And I hate to give Capcom so much credit, but you know, they do make a good product when it comes to certain genre, you know, and Devil May Cry has always been a dope IP. You know, Street Fighter used to be, you know, like that. But they put out some things that are definitely worthy of playing. And, you know, Resident Evil 2 is one of them. And also now it's going to be Devil May Cry. So that demo is awesome. If you haven't played it, check that demo out. It is, you can download it and play it, and it's fucking nice. It really is. Back to Anthem. I basically just want to say, you know, EA is in a place right now where, you know, this could be make or break for them. It really could. The writing's on the wall. If this game flops, we could see something. We could see something really, really, really dark happening. I can, at least. But like I said, it hasn't happened. I'm not going to speculate too much. I'm going to just let the chips fall where they may and see what happens, man. I'm going to know where they're going to be 90 days from now, because that's going to dictate what I do with them. You know, hopefully what I think is going to happen is I think the game is going to drop in price eventually. It's going to go down to about $30 within the next 90 days, 3 or 4 months. I'm seeing like a $30 price tag, maybe, you know, and if that happens, you know, I might pick it up. But then they might fuck around and just abandon the game. See, the fucked up thing about, you know, those type of titles, online only games, is when that server's gone, that game is gone. It's just going to be you know, an Anthem ashtray or an Anthem, you know, soda pop coaster. That's what it's going to be. So I'd rather spend, you know, half price or on a low end of it. That way, when that server does come to a smashing end, I won't really be hurt about it, because they claim that this game is going to be, 9 or 10 years. The servers are going to be alive that long. That's what they claim. But, we've seen people claim other shit before and not turn out the way they thought it would. So we'll see, man. We will definitely find out. That's all I'm going to say about Anthem, man. I'm going to leave Anthem alone. You won't hear me talking about Anthem anymore unless it's some like cataclysmic announcement or some crazy shit that needs to be discussed. But for the most part, right now, the narrative of the story it's a slowly sinking ship right now as it stands. And we'll touch back on that if anything changes. Last but not least, guys, I want to talk a little bit about this chapter 45 from the manga of Dragon Ball Super, what's been going on with this and why I think this arc is going to be superb, like magnifique, whatever word you can use or pick or choose to describe something excellent. I think you can use that for this title. You can use that for this chapter. You can use that for this whole fucking arc if you want to. I'm really enjoying this Galactic Patrolman prisoner arc, man. It's pretty dope. And the reason that is because you have to have a great villain to make that, a reality. And that villain is Moro, Moro. And I think he's an excellent villain. I think he is about that life. I think that this guy is something that I've never seen before as far as power scaling. And, of course, they're going to have to raise the bar because that's just what it is. Goku and Vegeta keep fucking taking it up a notch. So you have to present somebody to them that will actually cause a believable threat. And now you're getting into, not just planet Earth, but now you're getting into universes and shit and crazy shit like that. Motherfuckers eating stars and all kind of crazy shit. So this motherfucker is crazy, man. He is crazy good, crazy skilled, amazing even. In this chapter, he basically, him and Vegeta are into it. They're fighting. And Vegeta's basically holding his own, doing more than that at first. Cause he's able to transform, Super Saiyan God Red and Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan God Blue. And he's doing his Thug Thistle, man. He's out here in the streets, getting on Moro's shirt a little dirty. But one thing about Moro, which makes it so interesting, is this motherfucker has the power to control. He has the power to basically eat ki. He can definitely think of the spirit bomb with Goku. He can basically do the same thing, but instead of using it against somebody, he actually eats it. He digests it. So he's fighting Vegeta and they're just going hand in hand at first, but then he's using the energy. He's taking the energy of Planet Namek and using it against, Vegeta. Anything from trees to, dirt even, making, forming, shapes of waves and sending it at Vegeta. Vegeta's, dodging it, not really thinking too much about it right now. But then something else happens and Moro is basically drawing energy like a spirit bomb. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But it's, instead of, Goku's spirit bomb where he has his both palms in the air, Moro has one hand out, sticking out, and he's just drawing energy, and it's forming this ball, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then he eventually shrinks it. But what's so crazy is as he's drawing this energy ball to create, everybody, all the Nameks and stuff, they start, getting weak and shit and falling to their knees. And, but Vegeta and Goku aren't doing that. And you find out later why. It's because Moro was actually taking the energy, case in point, Goku's lend me your energy, and everybody around the earth is giving all his energy up. You taking it from the trees, he's taking it from the entire planet and the living people on the planet. So Moro's doing the same fucking thing. The Nameks got weak and started killing over because they don't have as much, by any stretch of the imagination, power like Vegeta and Goku are filled with. They're filled with so much fucking ki. And they don't find out until, Vegeta tries to transform back to Super Saiyan God. And, he finds out that he cannot do that. And he can't do it because he doesn't have the energy to do it. and they were feeling strange. They said something doesn't feel right. It feels kind of weird. And, you know, that planet actually started to look a little different. You know, the trees were wilting and the grass was dying and all of these things were happening. It's because he's stealing the life force, the key, if you will, out of everything, including Vegeta and including Goku. And he ate it. He basically shrunk it down to the size of maybe a huge, you know, Washington green apple. And then he ate it, ingested it. And then he, you know, is even stronger. And basically proceeded to, you know, fuck Vegeta's world up. Basically, he handled him. He was handled accordingly. And if you can't transform, I mean, what else are you going to do? You know what I mean? What are Vegeta and Goku going to do? Now they're trying to figure out what is next. Him and Moro have been talking, Goku and Moro, and he's trying to fight Moro again. He wants to fight Moro. He wants Moro to give him, I forgot how, he gave him a time limit and asked for some time. And then he said, you know, hey, come back and fight me again one more time. You know, give me that. And if that's the case, if you beat me, you know, I will fucking give you, you know, I will give you the Dragon Balls. I will give you the Super Dragon Balls, whatever the fuck you want. Just give me some time so I can fight you again. So Goku's excited. And I'm sure Vegeta's slightly excited too, because, you know, there's somebody out here that's strong and we haven't seen anybody that strong since Jiren. And this guy's OP as fuck. So now we want to, you know, figure out what the next move is, try to perfect our final forms, if you will. And just kind of like, you know, they did with Super Saiyan, you know, discover the ins and outs of that transformation and, you know, work with it to where you can, you know, you find out everything you need to know about it. You learn about it and then you learn to harness it. This arc is just looking so good right now. It really is. And I don't know what's going to happen next, man. Everything else I'm talking about is just pure speculation. Like I said, you're dealing with somebody like this who is so immensely powerful, you know, that he can take your energy from you without even touching you. Keep that in mind. Okay. Then we're going to have a problem. There's going to be a major problem. I don't know if they're going to be able to use Ki against him. I think, you know, they're going to have to fight him, you know, fist to cuff. Then do you rely on, you know, other help, outside help? Because right now they're not strong enough to take out Moro. It's just not going to happen. So is that why Toriyama set up, you know, determinative power the way he did, or the way, especially the way it ended, you know, with Goku always making friends everywhere he goes, everybody he fights afterwards. They're cool. Everybody in this clique, from Ten Shinhan to Krillin to, you know, Yamcha as a pirate, to everybody, Piccolo, all of them. Now it's Jiren and fucking Hit and, you know, characters like this. So, you know, will we see Hit or will we see Jiren return, you know, when shit is against the wall? I think that's where we're headed. You would think that he would have to call on Brawley as well. I mean, there's the way that it's adding up to be something very, very impressive to me. I mean, who knows where they're going to go with this, but man, I see the sky is the fucking limit. And I cannot wait to find out what happens in chapter 46, man. I can't. I really enjoyed that chapter 45. This arc is going to be nice. I mean, Moro as a villain, his design, everything about him, it's unique. It's different. And I like everything about him. So we shall see where this goes next. We shall definitely see where this goes next. I'm excited. You should be excited. We should all be excited when it comes to Dragon Ball Super and the future that it fucking brings. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to get my ass up out of here. I've had a long fucking day. It's been an even longer night. I'm sleep deprived. I still have things I need to go do. This is just the first process. I still have to finish my process with this podcast and stuff. So trying to get back to this Titan show at a reasonable time. And for me, a reasonable time would be maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe 3:30. Right now it's about 2:30 a.m. So yeah, if you guys want to chat, chop it up, man. I got a Discord thing. I always keep saying it, but it is still being worked on. I just want it to be right. And I want that server to just be right, man. I want it to be a place you can come to and just kick back and we can talk and we can, you know, just nerd out. But until then, just hold your breath a little longer for the Discord. But if you want to get at me on social media, hit me on Twitter at Studio MacGyver at all times. It does not matter. I'm a night owl though, so you can catch me the easiest in those times. Also, Twitter. Did I say Twitter already? No. Okay, let me just redo it just in case, because my mind is about fried. Twitter is at Studio MacGyver. Instagram is Studio MacGyver 79. Okay. Any one of those two, you can hit me up, man, and we can get into some gangster shit. If you want to be a guest on the show, or, you know, just have a discussion about one of these said subjects, man, you can hit me in any one of those two things, and then I'll get back with you. I always return my requests or whatever you guys. If you inbox me, I will definitely hit you back, guaranteed. So with that being said, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I want to say I appreciate everybody for listening. All the new listeners, if you're new to the show, thank you for coming. Every Monday, you can check this podcast out if you want to talk about anything nerd culture, gaming, anime, things of that nature. And that's what this podcast is about. So holler at your boy. This is Studio MacGyver, and you have been listening to Studio MacGyver's Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast. See you next time.